could there very well be a defining moment for Zebec, fundamentally speaking, in less than 7 days from right now, hypothetically speaking? Now, I would like to lean towards yes, personally for me, and let me give my rationale, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. I first want to explain that we do know that arguably, in less than 7 days from right now, Simon, the CEO of Zebec, is allegedly going to be making a major announcement. The reason why I say that is because he literally said that himself. Because we do know that on April 30th, he's going to be speaking right after Brad Garlinghouse, which is, of course, the CEO of Ripple at XRP Las Vegas. That's when he's planning to make that announcement, again, at that event, or should I say conference. So if we assume that April 30th, hypothetically, is the day that Simon, the CEO of Zebec, is going to be making this major announcement, I think that right there, again, could be a key defining moment for Zebec, fundamentally speaking, because we already know that a lot of clues are hypothetically pointing towards a Ripple partnership. Now, if it actually happens to be a Ripple partnership that he mentions on that particular day, my thing is that in the case of Zebec, we have to think about how that could be kind of a defining moment for it. Because if we take a look at, let's say in the case of Ripple, it's very massive. Of course, we know that. If we think about it, XRP currently is ranked 4th in the world within this space in terms of market cap. 4th. That's really massive. Keep in mind, it has over 500,000 holders. So if, let's say, just 10% of those around 500,000 holders see that Ripple has a partnership, let's say, in a pure hypothetical with something like Zebec, that could change, I think, the popularity and somewhat of the trajectory of Zebec from a, I guess, fundamental standpoint of view. Because that much attention, that much notoriety, hypothetically, if let's say that partnership does come into fruition, if that's headed towards Zebec, that could be just a total, I think, defining moment. Keep in mind, Zebec has around 100,000 holders as of right now. Even if 10% of the holders of XRP saw Zebec because of that hypothetical announcement, if it were to even happen in regard to a Ripple partnership, that's already, again, right, half of the current amount of holders of Zebec, approximately speaking. Because again, if we take a look at it, 10% of, let's just say 500,000, 50,000, if 50,000 people just take a look at Zebec as a result of that pure hypothetical partnership, what happens? That's already half of the amount of holders that Zebec has as of right now, approximately. So I think there could be a lot of ripple effects, pun intended, of course, as a result if we do see a hypothetical Ripple partnership. You know, did you catch that joke? But yeah, that's besides the point though. If we take a look at it as well, XRP, sure, it's around $1.40 as of right now, but I'm just saying, even though it's not considered to be doing the best, it's just very popular, it's very massive. So if there's a hypothetical, let's say, possibility of seeing that much attention maybe headed towards Zebec as a result of a partnership of that magnitude, I think that could very well be a defining moment when it comes to Zebec. The Stellar partnership alone, in my opinion, largely contributed to Zebec increasing from around 96,000 holders all the way up to around 100,000, like what we see as of right now. That's just from a Stellar partnership. Stellar, it's very popular, but it's nowhere near as popular as Ripple as of right now. So if Stellar did that to the amount of holders when it comes to Zebec, what would an actual Ripple partnership do when it comes to Zebec? That's the thing. As of right now, that's just something that I'm really kind of paying attention to because I'm a little bit curious. So if Zebec could do that, my thing is, I think all the hypothetical ingredients are there. Like for instance, we take a look at the fundamentals, right? SOC2, MICA, ISO 20022. We see a Stellar partnership, an Algorand partnership, and then maybe a hypothetical Ripple partnership. And then we already see Circle being a backer when it comes to Zebec. We already see Solana Ventures being a backer when it comes to Zebec. OKX Ventures, Coinbase Ventures, we already see all that being a backer when it comes to Zebec. So all the ingredients are kind of hypothetically there, in my opinion. If I take a look at it as well, Zebec, very focused on global trade and finance, has an aspect of Solana. It's all kind of there for me, personally, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. What's the missing piece, though? What's the missing ingredient right now? It's a change in market sentiment. So the fundamentals, I feel like, are already kind of in place. It's just the market sentiment overall hasn't really changed in a favorable way. but that requires me waiting. But I don't mind waiting if I like the project's fundamentals. That's the thing. If the only missing ingredient is a change in market sentiment, I don't mind. That's the thing. I would mind if, let's say, the fundamentals are not in place, then okay. Then I mind at that point. Because if the fundamentals aren't really that sound yet, then what happens if the market sometimes hypothetically picks up? Sometimes these projects, they're a little bit underprepared. They're not well equipped, in my opinion, sometimes to handle that sort of market change in sentiment because they're just not really prepared fundamentally to kind of sometimes go along with the ride. But when I take a look at Zebec, I already see the fundamentals there. Now, this is just purely my perspective. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but I'm just saying. When I list all of those aspects, like I mentioned before, if that's not a project that has kind of the ingredients in place, then I don't really know what is, personally, for me. Sure, I mean, is Zebec the best project of all time? A lot of people would arguably say no, but it doesn't need to become the best. I mean, Zebec, as far as I'm concerned, if it could just even be considered at the same level of like XDC, that's already like more than enough for me. But I'm just saying. I think sometimes people take a look at what a project has accomplished historically speaking. It's sometimes like a credit score, right? They take a look back at our history, and sometimes I think people do take a look at that when it comes to projects because when it comes to Zebec, people already see an Algorand partnership. They already see the partnership when it comes to Stellar. So if we actually do see a Ripple partnership come into fruition, that could really matter, especially if the market were to pick up again. And I think that right there would just really set Zebec apart when compared to the rest of the competition. Actually, I would go as far as to say that even though XDC is more popular than Zebec as of right now, I would again arguably say that if Zebec could pull off a Ripple partnership, that would kind of, I think, make it just a lot more competitive. And I think maybe even from a fundamental standpoint of view, just put Zebec kind of head to head towards XDC. I would really do think that way because for the longest time possible, Zebec has been considered to be the major competitor when it comes to Onyx, which I do still agree with that as of right now. But if it could accomplish a Ripple partnership, it would really put it in a different stratosphere, in my opinion, in which case I think it would start competing more so with something like XDC, which is almost unheard of. The thing is, a couple years ago, if someone said that, you know what, Zebec's going to be competing with XDC, a lot of people probably wouldn't believe that. That's the thing. So when it comes to Zebec, that Ripple partnership, I think, is very key to hypothetically seeing just this defining moment for something like Zebec. And of course, like I mentioned in previous videos, but every time I don't mention this, people like to call me out on that, so I'm just going to mention it. Like, for instance, we already know that XRPL is one of the supported chains when it comes to Zebec. We saw them mention that not too long ago. Yeah, I just want to get that out of the way so someone doesn't comment again that, oh, you know, they already did that again. I just want to say that. But I'm just saying, despite that, though, we haven't seen like an actual Ripple partnership in that sense, right? Like what we have seen with Stellar. So when it comes to in the case of Zebec, we have to think about how that could be kind of a defining moment for it. However, I'll be sure to keep everyone updated as to what goes on with Zebec moving forward. So again, I just want to say thank you for watching. I hope you all have a very nice day. It's been Lee the Captain, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.